From the closing bell to your living room, join your three hosts, the millionaire money mentor Lloyd Ross, the original stock bro Tony Sansmansky, and the podcast mogul Phil Better, as they help you avoid the mistakes most retail investors make when they start to invest. Now live from the fastest growing Facebook group for beginner investors, Stock Dirty to Me, with your hosts Lloyd, Tony, and Phil. Hey everybody, welcome to Stock Dirty to Me, the number one podcast for investors. I'm, of course, the podcast mogul Phil Better, and with me, as always, the man who's against crypto, because he's always saying bye-bye to Bitcoin, Mr. Lloyd Ross. How you doing, Lloyd?
Great. Good to be here. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, it's your show, too.
I know.
We bring value to all these amazing people. We are live right now in our private group.
Cool. That's awesome. Well, let's give them value. They're paying, so let's do it.
Yes.
So bye-bye Bitcoin.
Bye-bye Bitcoin. So what's going on with crypto? Do you want to talk about crypto?
I think touch on 2 points just to prove a point here. So number one, they said that crypto was going to replace fiat currency. Yeah. And it's now fallen to $1 trillion market value. And to overtake the monetary system, I think it's got to be to the tune of 40 trillion to do that. So there you go. Actually, I don't even think it's a trillion anymore. Maybe all of crypto, but Bitcoin's probably like in the billions, right? Yeah. So that's false story. It's not a real story. That was just to prop up the price to get people hyped up. The second story they started spinning after that was, crypto is the perfect hedge against inflation. And actually, it's been the opposite. In fact, the US dollar has been the best protection against inflation, interestingly, because all assets have gone down by 15, 20%, and inflation's only at like 8. So the US dollar has actually been the best hedge against inflation so far, which is fascinating. And cryptocurrency and Bitcoin has actually fallen like 50%, some massive number. So the worst place to have your money in the last 12 months has been in actual crypto. The worst place, just so everyone knows. So anyway, just wanted to debunk that myth that all that stuff was a load of bullshit so people could actually just hype it up and make fast fiat money to go buy Lambos with fiat currency.
And then sell you BS courses on how to make money for fiat money. Yeah,
that's right. So the whole thing's a load of shit. Anyway, so just wanted to come here and preach that because I've been telling everyone for flipping 2 years just to avoid it. So that's why.
Yeah, no. Crypto is like a day trader thing. It's you have to be quick on it, and it's not long term. I don't need that. That's too much work for me.
It's brutal. Yeah. So anyway, good to avoid it. We're here for stocks. So so what's interesting is the market's kind of obviously had a bit more of a collapse in the last week or so. So we had what's called a bear market rally, which means we're in a secular bear market. So that means that over the course of 2 years, probably, that asset prices fall to reflect their true value as interest rates go up. And that was obvious that was going to happen because interest rates were always going to go up because you can't keep them at 0%. And people didn't realize that the only thing that beefed up asset prices in real estate and stocks and everything else in Bitcoin was the fact that there was cheap money. No one understood that because they're not trained in economics, but very easy to see that interest rates were going to go up and it was going to cause havoc. And of course, what happened was interest rates went up and it caused prices to fall, which is exactly what it's supposed to do. And so what happens with interest rate rises is it actually stops people from spending their personal money. And that actually has an impact on stock earnings, which has an impact on their values. So that's the idea. The idea of increasing interest rates is to cool down the economy because it's actually overheated. And that's what's causing all the inflation. And inflation is caused by spending, right?
Yeah.
More people spend, the more inflation. So if they don't curb spending, inflation is just going to run away. And that's way bad. That's so bad. So they have to increase interest rates to save you. And it's just reckless spending. They're trying to save us from ourselves. We're addicted to consumerism and we're just spending all this cheap money. So they're saying, hey, kids, enough alcohol for now. Let's put the key back on the liquor cabinet. Let's put it away. And that's causing prices to fall. So I don't know why people are shocked to see their assets fall. It's amazing. I mean, I love it. I was hoping to finish in the red tonight again, but unfortunately it went up and it was green. So I'm hoping that it falls another 10, 15%.
So for people to understand, why are you happy for it to fall?
Well, I don't really want. So same as I guess the easiest way to explain it is that the same reason why people want their gas prices and petrol prices to fall. Because if you're going to be a net buyer of a particular thing long term, you don't really want to overpay for it. So it's like praying for petrol to go up. You're like, why would you do that when next week you've got to go buy some? So next week, if I want to buy stocks, why would I on earth would I want it to be higher? I want it to be lower because I'm going to be a net buyer of stocks for the next 20, 30 years. I want it to be low for quite a while. So I'm excited and I'm grateful for the bear market. I've been waiting for it a long time. I'm always too early to things, including Alibaba, way too early to that. But I can see things usually before they happen, and this was bound to happen. So I'm grateful for it. It's good. I want to see stocks fall another 10, 15%. I think Michael Burry just posted he feels that we're only beginning. Well, not beginning. We're in the middle of a bubble pop, and he's right, I think. But he said don't go too early. He says I don't think it's over yet. He said it tends to be over once companies start going bankrupt. So he said that's what you got to look out for. And in this economy, zombie companies, which is companies that actually have been earning revenue, not necessarily profits, but revenue on low interest rates. As soon as rates go up, they lose money quite drastically and they'll go broke. So he said once the zombie companies start becoming prolifically broke and you see a lot more bankruptcies, he said that's more like towards the bottom. So he said, what we're seeing now, like even the last 2 weeks or thereabouts, we saw a secular bear market. So the stock market's going down over time. Usually it takes like 18 months or so.
Yeah.
And what happened was in the middle of that, or 6 months in, it went and went through a rally. And that was what's called a bear market rally, but it's a fake rally, right? And it then proceeded downwards even further. So that's kind of where we're at. And so don't be surprised if you see the market fall another 10%.
Okay. And at that point, that's when you're going to be like, yes, gobble, gobble, gobble.
Well, it's interesting because this week we bought shit. You can never time the bottom. So it's not like I'm waiting for a bottom. I'm just progressively interested to buy companies that are undervalued because I don't know when the bottom's going to be. I don't know what the bottom for any individual company is. I don't know where the bottom for the market is. So I look for opportunities. But recently this week we bought some Activision Blizzard, which I've been talking about. Yo.
Hey, Tony.
And that is the secret. That is the secret to investing. Thank you very much. And hope you all have a good day. Bye.
Oh, we're done. All right. See you next week. Freaking cat is walking out of here.
No, Lloyd was just talking about how he just recently bought some Activision Blizzard and talking about the bear market rally that we just recently went through.
Our one-day bear market rally?
The rally that happened a few weeks ago that was quite substantive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because Berkshire, anyway, so we're in a bear market again. A bit of a tick up last night. I think up. Some of the tech stocks are up. Like Google got down to $107. Pretty good. Would have been a good price to jump into. 19 times earnings for a company like that. Not bad. Anyway, the reason we bought Activision is because I think it's going to be approved, the takeover at $95, and it should be a fairly simple 22% winner while the market's plummeting. And that's why I bought it. It's a hedge.
It's a hedge. Tony,
did that get approved? That deal got approved?
And it got approved in Saudi, and it's gone to second stage in UK. But the research I've been doing is if they don't approve this, then there may not be any more deals in the video game space ever again because there's no anti-competition happening. And I watched this interview with this lawyer, this competition and monopoly lawyer, and he was saying that all these things that he said what it's actually happened is it's not anti-competitive. He said it's actually the authorities trying to help play Sony. So he said just because Sony isn't competitive in their own right doesn't mean this is monopolistic behavior. So because he said that Microsoft is not the leading video game, and he said that there are competitors already around it. So I looked at the balance of probabilities of it being approved with some interviews and stuff like that, and looked again that Warren Buffett had loaded up at 6th largest position, and I just felt good about it and understood it. And the worst case is that if it fails and it plummets, I can buy more for cheaper, and it's a great company. So
yeah, they have World of Warcraft, which prints money.
Yeah.
World of
Minecraft,
Warcraft, League of Legends, I believe as well. They have Call
Call
of
of
Duty
Duty.
or one of those. Like those are games that are printing money for them. So
Yeah.
it's an ATM machine pretty much. They just need to have better
It's kind of
management,
like,
I guess.
I guess you could say it's kind of like the Disney of video games. You know, it's
Yeah.
got these really, really good franchises.
IPs.
Yeah. So, you know, worst case, if it doesn't go through, then someone else will pick it up, maybe. But I'm okay with either way, whatever. But I think it's pretty much going to be approved. I'm pretty sure. And within the next 6 months, I guess. So probably six to 8 months, and it's 22% return. It's pretty hard to beat that. I think it's good.
That's a good return.
Yeah.
Tony, what is going on with you? How are you doing? Anything you want to talk about?
Nothing new. I bought some Apple and I bought some Google stock a couple days ago, but nothing major. I thought Apple stock might pop on the new iPhone and Apple Watch announcement and all that stuff. So, plus it was only like, I got it at like 154, which, I mean, just 2 weeks ago it was almost 180. So it's come down quite a bit. And Google at the time was I think I got like 106, something like that. So Google has been getting hammered. Everything is hammered over the last month. I mean, the whole market's plummeted in the last 3 weeks, I would say, after that huge rally we had that lasted about 3 weeks. So, you know, it's all cyclical and cycles up and down, roller coaster. It's probably going to take a year and a half before the market recovers all the losses that we've seen, at least, I would say.
I read today that Apple, they think they got a price target of 220 on it.
Yeah.
So strong company.
Yeah. So right now I got Apple, Google, Starbucks because of our competition, and Amazon are
Dorothy,
the only.
Would like to
You're
know
all
how's
American.
AMC doing, Tony?
What's that?
Because how is AMC doing? Dorothy's asking we're in the private group, so this is the paid
Oh,
membership.
you know what? I totally forgot that I said I was going to buy AMC. I totally forgot about that. I don't know. How is AMC doing? What's it at now? I think it was at like $9.
Let me take a look. I'll take a look now here.
It's probably still around the same rate.
AMC, it's at $8.39 right now.
Okay, so it's down. It's like 70 cents ish. Yeah, I think AMC is a good buy. Put some money in it and hold it, and it's probably going to go up to $20 at some point.
Let's see, last 6 months. I'll bring this on screen right now. Oops, no.
I think I still am going to buy it. I'm going to do it just because it's an easy trade.
This is the last 6 months.
Yeah, it's going to pop again. It's a stupid investment, but you want to make some quick money. I think within
money. This is Tony's Get Rich Quick scheme.
AMC is how I'm going to become a millionaire. I decided I'm going to put $100,000 in AMC and wait for it to go to $80 a share.
Yeah, that's not happening. Not happening at all.
You know what, Phil? Never say never. Never say never.
True. I'm going to eat those words probably later this year.
Because nothing is logical anymore with the stock market. It really isn't. It really isn't. It's just so stupid. So it's just one of those things where, I mean, if you look at Google and Apple and some of the best companies on the stock market over the last 2 years, it's just up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. So just like everything else. So you just got to ride the waves until we get out of this.
Yeah, pretty much. It might go on for another 12 months.
Yeah, no, it's going to. I think it's going to go all the way till probably the end of 2023.
Oh, probably. Yeah, it's accumulation stage, right? Like I'm buying bits and pieces here and there that I like, and you just can't wait. You can't wait. You just have to continuously buy into this market over time with good businesses, and you do well. I read this great quote. It said, bear markets are where you make all your money. It just doesn't feel like that at the time.
Yeah, no, it definitely sucks. It sucks, watching your account swing violently every week, up thousands, down thousands. It's just, but every time there's a big dip, I just try to buy more. But I'm still holding some cash, and you just got to be smart about how much cash you want to actually use, because it could take a long time to come back.
Yeah.
I've kind of, down to my last few thousand that I want to invest, and the rest of it I'm just holding in my savings.
Yeah.
So
that's the reason why we bought Activision Blizzard, is because I know it's a short-term deal and I'll get ejected the cash back, and it's kind of like a future, hey, give me some money when I need it, probably. So that'll be good. We'll see though.
Yeah. So I don't know. You just gotta ride the waves, and when it feels like all hope is lost, you just gotta keep buying.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think like that, but you have to. Like when you watch your account just draining every single week, every day, it's seemingly red. Those are the days you have to buy. You just have to keep buying.
I feel like I've been playing this with Bubba for a lot longer than everyone else. So like I'm used to it. It's like
Bubba's never coming back, but everything else. You're screwed with Bubba, but everything else, AMC, it's all coming back.
They're not Bubba.
Not Bubba. They're done.
What about Bitcoin? Is it coming back?
Oh yeah. Unfortunately, it's it's funny because Bitcoin's gotten crushed, and I'm not an advocate of crypto, but as soon as the stock market takes off, Bitcoin's gonna follow with it.
It's highly correlated. It's highly correlated. It's a risk asset. It's funny. It's weird to watch. It's just so weird. Anyway,
it really is. It really is heavily correlated. So.
I was just talking at the start of this episode that it was fun. It was really fun to see that the US dollar was a better hedge against inflation than Bitcoin. It just makes me feel good.
Yeah, and it's funny because Bitcoin's down like 60% or something over the last. I don't know what it's down the last 12 months, but
hold on.
All those people that bought it at 60K, how many people you think actually are still holding it that bought it?
Oh yeah, looking heaps.
So,
it is here. Bringing it up on screen right now. It is down 49.26% in the last 6 months.
Yeah. What about the last year? Or
year 58,
yeah.
And it's up in the last 5 years, but in the last year it's down 58.89%.
So what is it up? Yeah, in the last 5 years, it's essentially outperforming every asset on the stock market.
5,000%.
Yeah. What about year to date? Year to date,
it is down 59.61%. So it's.
So it's probably
going to stay around 20K. I think it's going to probably.
Crazy suggestion. I'm getting really crazy. I suggested buying AMC, buy Bitcoin, because it's probably going to go back up to 40K next year.
I think it's going to get down to 5K.
No way.
Yeah, pull up the chart. It's too
intertwined in institutions.
5 years? Okay, here we go.
Yeah. See that? Look at the chart. Like, I'm not into flipping chart. This chart is a typical head and shoulders pattern to the bottom. So if you just zoom in a bit, Phil, just before it took off, that back a bit. Oh, just before it jumps. Just so like 2021. Just keep going. Right. Yep. So probably even 10. I think it could probably fall to 10. Like that's the actual baseline number on the chart that tells me. And if you look at the way that the chart's headed, we're going to see 10, I think. Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it makes sense from a technical standpoint that we'd see 10. So that's
if Bitcoin falls to 10, then the stock market's going to fall a massive amount as well.
Well, I think the stock market will fall probably another 10 or 15% perhaps if it's got it in it. But
yeah, I mean, it's those things like Ray, listening to what's his name, Robert Kiyosaki, and all these people that are every day predicting the end of the stock market.
Yeah.
Eventually, of course, they've been saying this for years, and of course now they're like, "This is it. This is the crash." It's like, yeah, we all know that this was coming, but you just got to hang in there.
Yeah, I think if the stock market was ever going to disappear, it would have been in 1929.
Yeah.
Bitcoin?
I have a question.
The stock market. Yeah,
the stock market. I have a question. The 20s, is this kind of like reflective of the actual 20s that were in the great stock market depression happened?
No.
No.
The 20s was a result of massive speculation with people buying on margin, and also not only people buying on margin, but there were no regulations like there were today. Like there was no, it was the wild
big
west.
short positions, and
It was the wild west. Where
So
people
kind of like what
JP
crypto's
Morgan
doing.
were essentially
Kind of,
thinking. Yeah, it was probably yeah.
it was worse because they were actual companies. Like railroads were going broke and flipping. Like, and not just that. What happened was that it got bad when they didn't save banks. So like what happened was they didn't bail the banks out. And so what happened was there was bank runs. And so people just slurping the credit out of the market, and it fucking just put all the banks broke basically. And then what happened was people couldn't borrow and spend, which is what caused the depression effect.
There was no FDIC insurance back then either. Meaning that if your money was missing, if you lost all your money in the bank or the bank went bankrupt, if the bank went bankrupt, you would get no money back.
Yeah.
Whereas that's why people were if you go back and look at pictures from the 20s, there's these huge lines of hundreds, thousands of people at the banks trying to withdraw their money.
Yeah.
That wouldn't happen today because everything is digital and
Yeah.
You're insured up to $250,000.
Yeah. And the government loves to print money these days, whereas back then they didn't enough.
Yeah, there was. I don't know if there was a Federal Reserve. I don't think
there was. I think the Federal Reserve came because of the Great Depression. I think that's what it was. The regulator came in after that.
And the thing is, the president at the time, I think it was Harding or I forget.
Hoover.
Wilson.
J. Edgar Hoover.
The president? No. J. Edgar Hoover was the FBI director.
Oh, sorry, not J. Edgar Hoover.
Harding, right?
No.
Who's the president during the Depression? Look at
Hoover.
Hoover.
That's what I said. Hoover.
Oh.
Yeah. But not J. Edgar Hoover. He's the
That's
FBI.
what I thought you said J.
No, it was President Hoover, but it wasn't J. Edgar. It was
Right.
What was his name?
It was Hoover, but
it was
Hoover. Not
Franklin D. Roosevelt.
No.
It was in like the 20s.
President Hoover, yeah.
Yeah,
by the summer of 19. Yeah, it was
Herbert Hoover, right?
Herbert Hoover, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, not J. Edgar.
It was so bad they made they set up all the towns where all the banks went bankrupt. They would call them Hooverville.
Yeah,
it was bad.
Yeah, Hooverville. Because he didn't loosen the monetary policy and he just left it tight, and it just caused this depression.
Well, he was the old school conservative back then, where their thought was, we're not going to help any, we're just going to let everything fail, and capitalism will weed itself out, which is great, except that literally.
You know what else actually happened at the same time that actually caused it to be really bad? Was really didn't help things a lot. It was that the
war?
United States. That was World War I, but it was more. The thing that really made it bad was that the people had over-farmed the fields and destroyed the soil, and there was like a dust bowl across the Midwest, and that really for 10 years but couldn't produce crop, and it was just like that didn't help, I think.
Yeah.
It was just a gnarly run of events that just completely. But you know what? If the United States can come and the world can come out of that, like what's going to kill it? And 2 world wars that were like flipping serious.
They had a pandemic too. The 1980
Spanish flu.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I mean. That was probably the worst time to be alive. Like life is so easy,
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Life is so easy. As much as we complain.
You know what I was thinking?
Middle ages weren't a swimming in the pool either, right?
I tell you, I had my wisdom tooth got infected like over the weekend, and I went to the dentist and fixed me, and I'm sorted. But I said to her, "Isn't it amazing? Like I would die if I was born 150 years ago. I'd be dead."
Yeah.
Because penicillin wasn't invented. I'd be like, look at how many people died from tooth infections, man.
Well, the dentist was your barber and your doctor. All in
that's
one.
right.
And they used to use leeches to cure diseases.
Man, I watched this documentary on Victorian. You should watch it. It's called Victorian Hospitals in the Victorian era. Holy
no, thanks. I'm good.
You know why they call them a theater, an operating theater? because back in those days, it would be like this timber table and timber chairs in a theater style. They'd pull someone in and literally just chop their leg off in front of people.
And they watch.
The surgeon would have it was a sign of a badge of honor to have your whole apron just marred in like old blood and guts.
They wore no gloves.
No gloves, the same tools. And they're chopping people. Anyway, people would die of infection instead of the actual bleed.
Yeah.
And they reckon your chance of actually surviving surgery was like 1% or some shit. Like,
Jesus.
That's like the Civil War. Like people did have a leg amputated, but they wouldn't die from that. They'd die from an infection from the surgery.
They reckon that more people died from infection, sickness, and Civil War than battle.
Yeah. Insane.
Yeah. So we're very lucky.
Yeah, yeah. When you put it into perspective, like
Oh, I lost a few $100 on the stock market. Ooh, poor me. Versus
to bring it back to the stock market crash in 1929. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see that again unless there's. Like, think about everything that's happening right now, and we're not even anywhere near that type of crash. By the way, the stock market didn't recover for a decade after that.
Yeah. But then it had one of the greatest bull market runs. I think it's pretty much been a bull market ever since.
Yeah,
with many dips.
The crazy thing is, it dropped like 70%. But if you just waited, if you were young back then, and you just waited, you would have made all your money back. And way more if you were like 20 at the time.
Yeah. Which is why I don't sell positions into this market. Like, I don't liquidate my portfolio and sit on cash like Michael Burry. Because I wouldn't be able to time it. And then I'd be like, oh, I missed it. And then I'd be pissed off. And then I'd buy again. It'd be like a waste of time.
Yeah. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of people that do that. They're like, oh, I'm going to cash out before the crash. And then this takes like 2-3 years, and it's like, when do I get back in? And you're stressing out that you're out of the market for 3 years now.
Yeah. And you buy back in and it falls more. You're like, I mistimed it. And you try. It's a dance. You can't really win, and so you're better off just not to take the class and not to do the dance. Just leave it.
Yeah, I did time QQQ. Remember that? Well, now I'm negative again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're a genius, Tony.
I was up like 13%, 14%, and now
got greedy.
The fish was this big, I swear.
So that's why you can't time shit. I would have been better off just waiting.
Yeah. Yep. You know what? We're all probably better off waiting, just holding cash until like we know it's very bad and no one wants to own stocks, and just buying everything and just waiting for the rest of your life. You'd be so rich, but you just don't know when that's going to be.
Yeah, we don't.
I don't know if I could have sat on cash since 2008. That'd be so hard to do, because you would have seen all these people making money in real estate and stocks, and just like, oh, I missed out on this massive bull market because I was trying to wait for this another next crash.
Well, the S&P dropped almost 50% in 2008, and I think we're at like 20% now. And the NASDAQ was down 32% at its low. So, I mean, it would seem like we were close to the bottom with those type of drops. So, if you bought around there, even if it drops another 10-15%, you still bought pretty low. You just got to wait. Average down.
What did the NASDAQ drop after the bubble, the .com bubble?
Well, it took I remember we looked this up before. It took 12 years to recover. That's if you bought it at the top, though.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like, if you bought it like a lot of people did in 2020 and 2021, where the market was sky high, and they bought in, seeing what was happening, they didn't want to miss out. And now they're at the lowest of lows. They've lost the most money because they bought it at that peak. But if you average down, though, like we saw, if you average down for those 11 years, it wouldn't have taken you 11 years to recover. You probably would have did it in much, much faster, couple years. But it's painful. It's painful to keep buying something that you see losing every week,
Yeah, man, I've been, I've experienced that for the last 12 months. It's, but I also think of the people that don't buy undervalued stocks at all, and they buy at the top, like people that bought Alibaba at 300. There's tons of them.
Oh, man.
They're hurting.
That's brutal.
Yeah. That's why, even though I'm down, I'm not down it's not ruined.
Well, you had it at 300. Now you average down so much that you're down.
No, I started buying it 200, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Then a bit more at 140, and then more at 90, but
more at 50, more at 30.
If the Chinese don't, if the Americans don't confirm the audit papers this month with Bubba, we could see probably 70, 60 flipping. Who knows? Because
what price would it take for you to get out?
I wouldn't get out
at no price.
No, because it's irrelevant. The price is irrelevant. It just doesn't mean anything. Like, because what I own is a piece of a business that's flourishing and growing, and it's a very smart, intelligent business with a very wide moat and a lot of customers, over 1 billion. I mean, it's one of the few companies with 1 billion customers in the world. I mean, it's not a company that's going to disappear, put it that way. It would be impossible to disappear that company and not have the global economy fucking fry, because it literally bolsters the business in China, and China's the growth engine of the world. So I can't see that happening. So if the price was so low because of all these things, I wouldn't bother me, because I own a share of a great business that just happens to be mispriced for the time being. You know?
Phil, can we cut that up into a short clip so when Baba falls to like $1 a share?
It just wouldn't. Like, I just can't see. I wouldn't have bought it if I thought that. I just think that
yeah, no, it should. It should.
It does.
Yeah.
I mean, I can get a load back the truck up, but it's got it's going to take its primary listing to Hong Kong soon. So the American fucking stock of the ticket, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Yeah. People forget they buy it. They own a business. They don't own a stock, a price on a screen.
Yeah, it'll probably get back up to 300 at some point, but it may take a while.
I think 150 is more achievable. I don't think 300's in the foreseeable future.
You don't think so? In the next 5 years?
I think 5 years, definitely. But
yeah, that's what I was talking about.
I think the next 12 months or so, we'll see it move back to 150, which is probably its fair value. But Bloomberg, it just seems to be, I think it's a war propaganda thing. I don't think it's got anything to do with the business. I think that the US is positioning itself for a war, because they've stopped NVIDIA selling, or chip makers selling chips into China. They're
building more advanced chips in China. They're not allowed building. I saw the story on it. It was they're allowed to keep low-level chips, expand those companies, but Taiwan and a couple other places are allowed. But they want to bring more of the advanced chips into the U.S., which I think they're kind of hedging their bet with Taiwan going to be invaded by China.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, we just put $300 billion to build chip factories here.
Yeah.
Texas, Intel.
Yeah. I think they're just positioning themselves for in case we go to conflict. It's pretty obvious.
We don't want to rely on
Tony, you're muting yourself.
I did?
Yeah, you were playing with the microphone on your thing.
Yeah, I don't think we want to rely on Taiwan in case, China does invade them. So, I don't know. It's going to take a while to set up a factory, though.
Yeah, so and Taiwan's not going to be. I don't see him being invaded in the next few years.
I saw Apple's trying to move out of China too, to Vietnam and some other countries.
India.
Yeah,
I think they've moved their iPhone components building and manufacturing to India now. I read.
Yeah, so I think they're trying to slowly shift out of China as well.
I think everyone's trying to lessen their exposure.
Well, we all learned during the pandemic that we're all way too reliant on China.
Yeah.
I mean, half our medicine.
Yeah.
People need medicine from China. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's interesting. So anyway, we'll see. Hopefully we don't go to conflict, but I really think that it's going to happen.
Oh, I think China's definitely going to take Taiwan. Definitely. Yeah. It's just how the rest of the world responds. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think a greater crisis, well, not a greater one, but an equal crisis, is the fact that Russia is swinging its resources dick in response to the West weaponizing Ukraine. So in response to that, and also the sanctions, they're saying, well, fuck you. If you're going to sanction us and weaponize our enemy, we're going to cut off energy to Europe, which has spiked inflation 20%. Yeah. And if people start dying in winter, I think it may bring Germany into war. And if it gets Germany into war and the West mobilize against Russia, then we could probably see a massive conflict. So
Jeez. Well, the whole sanction thing backfired like crazy because Russia is actually pulling in more money than they ever had before, which is insane.
Yep.
So that did not work at all.
They've actually got a new. They're selling their resources in renminbi, like to RMB to China.
Yeah.
So they're good. They've meandered around it. They've strategically won.
And we managed to partner Russia and China together for the first time, which is a horrible. You know, we don't want that to happen.
Yeah, all because of one border issue at Ukraine, they could have just resolved with NATO. They should have just backed off.
Yeah, it was stupid. But I don't even know what's going on in Ukraine. Like, is anybody paying attention to that anymore? To be honest,
they're holding their own in the battles because of the weapons giving them from the West, and so Russia's not winning it, but they're just at a stalemate, I think.
There's also fear of one of their power plants being bombed, and last I heard, there's worry about Chernobyl as well because there was shelling. But I haven't heard anything since.
Yeah, I don't think power plants do that if they get shelled. I think they actually just shut down. I don't know if the
nuclear.
Well, if they shut down, it's the shutting down of power to most of the section of the Ukraine. That's why. That's what they're worried about, losing that power.
I think if Russia wanted to, they could probably take Ukraine in a week, but they're clearly not putting all their resources into it, and they're not using a lot of the capabilities that they have, obviously.
Yeah. They could probably just nuke it and be done with it.
Yeah, they could, but I don't think that would be crazy.
It's almost like if no one's ever going to use nukes because they know that it's like a death touch. Like
you nuke, everybody hates.
Well, they want the resources too, so nuking that land is not useful. Yeah.
I don't think nukes are actually that effective. Like I think they're just.
It was a deterrent that no one ever wants to use again because I saw how much devastation it was, and it was like a big oopsie.
Yeah, and we have way more powerful nukes now than we did.
Yeah,
back.
like the Russians have the most powerful nuke. They dropped it in Siberia, like the little Caesar thing. Like no one wants to see that dropped again. No one wants that because of the devastation it'll rot.
You can imagine what would happen if you dropped that on a city, man. That would just be like one of the most historically bad things ever in history.
It's essentially the end of the world if Russia does use nukes, because I'm sure that we would probably retaliate, and then we're off.
Well, I think the US would have to retaliate very swiftly and quickly and precisely to stay alive, because otherwise it'd be rockets flying everywhere. Anyway, I think that they're pissed off that, I think Putin came out and said, you know what? He's sick. I love the United States, but he said he's tired of, like, Ukraine was a local issue they were going to resolve, and they hate the fact that the West is playing big brother to every conflict it's like, what the fuck, leave us alone, man. We're in Europe. Like, but that's the way that it's happened. I think that them and China is trying to vie for, like, hey, we want to have our own independence globally. That's probably what's happening.
Yeah, I definitely see both sides of it, whereas we shouldn't have been fucking around trying to put Ukraine in NATO. But at the same time, like, you can't just let these other countries take over countries. But then Ukraine was one of the most corrupt countries, anyways.
But they were changing.
I don't think it was even like Russia wanted to take them over. There was just two parts that they wanted. It was the Crimea, like they wanted to annex parts of it. And I don't know
because if they were rich in resources, that would both make Ukraine useless, pretty much as a country, with destroying their GDP.
Even if Russia ended up taking Ukraine, I suppose the US looks at it like, well, that's what Hitler started doing to Poland. We're like, we don't want that again. So
where does it end? Yeah,
that's right.
Because Hitler just wanted to take Poland, and then all of a sudden,
the whole West.
So
be careful. Anyway, they know more than us. We're just surmising, but I think it's just interesting that.
I think the bigger threat is China, because I think they're far more capable than Russia.
They're super advanced.
And they have a lot more advanced weapons. They have a better navy, better military.
They're better prepared.
Better resources, and we're more reliant. But that's the thing. If we go to war if we can't sanction China like we did with Russia, because, I mean, walk around your house, everything's from fucking China. Everything you pick up is made in China.
Yeah, it will be difficult with that happening. But I think we're coming to the end of the show,
Yeah.
guys.
Good
Lloyd,
show.
it was a great show. Lloyd, where can they find you?
They can find me 212/3032 Paradise Island, Surfers Paradise, Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia, 4217. I'll be here in the cupboard.
And Alibaba.com.
Oh! Shit. I hope Alibaba comes back. Pray for me.
Do I have to
Now,
beat
do I
that
need to
out,
give
Lloyd?
my
Because I am
address?
releasing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, that's okay. Oh, I think it doesn't matter. Whatever. Okay.
Okay.
Do I need to
Well,
give like
yeah,
an
yeah.
address, or is that the
I'm
new
not
sign
giving an
off?
address. Give your own sign off. I'm not
You know what
giving
I'll
any
do?
address.
Can I just do social security number? I don't.
Sure.
Yeah,
Do
let's
that.
I'll do my
Date
tax
of
file
birth.
number and bank account. BSB and account. You want that? Easy.
Hang on, let me grab a pay stub. Hang on. You guys can find me here.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I'll be around. You can find me.
Great.
Yep.
So it is, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to us on the podcast, you can obviously find us on Facebook, Stock Dirty to Me Pod. Make sure you subscribe, and if you're interested, you can always join our private group where we go live every week and share the
Isn't it
secrets
the
to
private
invest-
group?
It is, but I'm doing the outro for the audio, man. Like I didn't look. Usually I shell the. Listen, when we go live into the big group, I shell like every 30 seconds the private group.
Oh,
And
okay.
in the private group, I shell only at the end because it goes out on audio.
Well,
Jesus.
we need a growth chart. Okay, we need to start growing here. What's going on, Phil? Phil, what's going on?
Growth chart.
Jesus.
growth
Okay,
chart
ladies
is
and gentlemen,
like
thank you
this.
so much for listening. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.